welcome back, everybody. So I'm going to continue on with these metered mail stamps and try to figure out what they are. Now, for the sake of saving me some time and effort, I am going to try and identify most of these using simply the metered mail number, instead of focusing on all the different minutiae involved in these designs. So once I have them identified, I'm going to show you guys any that I think were cool or had any kind of value. And then otherwise, I'm going to package these up and ship them off to my buyer. So anyways, let's see if I can come up with anything cool. So we'll start with this guy. This is that snakeskin printed paper that I adore. I think that that's just super cool. So anyway, this is a CB9. This is a this is a subgroup of Group C, and it only contains meter in the center oval. But what makes this specific one a CB9 is the central oval contains a smaller oval with indented sides. So there you go. That makes this one a CB9. Now in this catalog it said cents paid in the bottom panel, and I was worried because it only said cent. It took me a minute. Well, it is only a cent. There's nothing plural because it's just 1 cent. So that makes sense. Now this one has practically no value. It's from 1933, and it's a Pitney Bowes model. So anyways, that one's super cool, and that will make it into my Mystic album, I think. So I've come up with a stack of CA2s, which are these guys. Now, bunch of different examples here. These are some of the first iterations of these metered mail, at least in Group C, and these ones are kind of the second choice where it just says cents paid instead of the whole value written out. So anyways, these apparently CA2s often confused with CA10s. Now CA10s will have pretty much the only thing is, sorry, okay, so CA10s, the only thing is going to be a big spacing in between the letters. Now I had one of these that was actually a Los Angeles postmark that I was, this guy, that I was seriously considering might be a CA10. When you compare, let's say, there you go. So let's compare both of these Los Angeles postmarks here. I will say that the top one, the letters just looked closer to me. Okay. So I was really suspecting this was a CA10, but as I look at the picture that they gave me, the letters are even more spaced out in the CA10. This could be, this one here could be a CA10, but you know, in comparison, like if you look at how close the L and the O are on the top one, it's definitely closer. But I still just am not convinced that this is actually spaced out these letters enough to make it a CA10. So anyways, that was the only thing I was scrutinizing on these CA2s here, and so I've deduced all of these must just be CA2s. So anyways, no real value unless they are above at least, or if they are at least 7 cents. So I separated out, and we'll be keeping these higher denom ones, 17, 18, and then of course actually I have one that's a 19. They all have about the same value, at least according to this catalog, of about $10 each. So that's cool. You know, it goes with our rule, like we said in the last video. The higher the value, the denomination on these, the more valuable they are, just like most stamps, period. So I'll be keeping those guys. Those are going to make it in my Mystic album. Okie doke. So I just finished identifying these ones. Now these, what separates these from others is, well, these are, for one thing, CA1s, so they're the first iteration of this. They have the value spelled out, and these ones have additional 1 cent postage paid between permit and meter. So similar to normal CA1s that don't have any kind of surcharge on it, you have to determine, is this a CA1 or a CA9, and you can check that by the meter numbers. So anyway, it's not, none of these are CA9s, so they're CA1s. So anyways, none of these are all 2 plus 1, so original value of 2 and surcharged 1 cent. None of these have any real value when they're 2 plus 1 values. So That's what these guys are. And then I did have one that was actually a CA2, because it says cents paid only, and so this one's just another surcharge 2 plus 1 additional cent. So anyways, instead of being CA1 surcharge, this is a CA2. So just one of those. I'll continue on here. Let's see what's next. So next is this single mailometer one, which has a little line underneath the O in meter and the permit number under the letters. So this is the only one of these that I have, the only mailometer. And they either can or can't have a line under the permit number. It seems like most of them do, and mine does. And then another thing is that there are little dots over here on the town mark. Anyway, this being a 1 cent denomination has no real value, but I have identified it as a CA4. Okie doke, so I just went through this big old stack here, and I ended up with 2 that might have some value. Now, these are DB1 stamps, and as far as I can tell, there's 2 kind of like subgroups or categories, DB1A or B, and the B's have a thick frame line in between, right beneath the simulated perforations. So it's pretty bold. Also, the oval would be more bold. As far as I can tell, visually, none of these are the B type with bolder lines. And I've also verified using the metered mail number. So all these should be just DB1As. And then I sorted through all of the different ones to see what, if any of them would happen to have any value, and it seems like none of those do. But these potentially may. So this is, let's start that. That's a 19 center DB1A, and it has a 19 cent value, so that should be around $10. So the next one, the only other one that had potentially any value, was this guy, and it's because it has those 2 25 centers. The 10 and the 2 cent have no value, but those 2 25s, they should have about a $10 value each. Now, I don't really know how this works. If there's 2 25-cent stamps on this one strip, would that make it $20? I don't know. I just really don't. But those ones, according to that catalog that I'm looking at, supposedly might have some value. So you could say maybe there's $30-ish worth of value because of these 3. But nonetheless, it's not all about the money. I'm just curious. I just want to know, it's the information. I want to understand everything and see kind of what these are about. And yeah, I mean, most of them aren't worth much, but that's okay. But so anyway, this guy, unfortunately, as you can probably tell, has actually been formally folded already. So I'm gonna fold that guy up. It's been hinged as well. Kind of beat up. Some of the perfs are missing. It's discolored. It's got some holes. Right? So I don't know. I mean, this thing is not the best thing in the whole world, but that's just the ones that I sorted out of those DB variety that seem to have some kind of value. So into my Mystic album with those. Okie doke. So I just identified this guy. It's number DC4. And what actually is a giveaway for that is the meter number. DC4s are only meters 01001 to 01004. And you'll see that guy right there. And it turns out this 01001 does 1 cent, metered mail. So there we go. That guy's supposedly worth 10. So this is just a little group of some that I just finished up with. These are actually ones that I mainly did using the meter number and the International Postage Meter Stamp Catalog. Just kind of made that super easy. So these are neat. That's a slogan. Let's see, some little differences in these D groups. Like this one actually is kind of muffled, or it's kind of muddy, but you can't really see, but it would say PB meter. as opposed to, let's say, this one just says meter. They can say meter number. They can, let's see, what else can they say? US meter is another one. So you're kind of looking for what it says there as far as the meter goes. And then, but yeah, you can just use the meter numbers. So I was able to identify all of these fairly easily. There's another slogan. Pretty cool. None of these have any real value. But it is a different design than the other boxed ones because it actually shows like a single value in the center of the oval. So, that was it for these. So I made it on to Group H. Now, these are a couple of really, there's a few actually, great slogan stamps. I love them. Honestly, I'll give them up to the guy that I'm selling these to, but I kind of want to keep them, specifically this one. That one's really cool. However, so these are Group H. They're BIC. They have a broken inner circle in the town mark. So that's a pretty good identifier of these. Also, when you look at the bottom here, there's a couple of variations on, there's this NPM. It could also say CC. That'd be kind of a different subgroup. But NPM is a certain company, and they made some of these that would have like a dash on certain metered mail in here. This one doesn't have the dash. It has the NO, the meter number, and then NPN spaced out like that. So that made these a specific subgroup. I did have some success trying to use the metered mail number with these, but not a whole lot. It kind of just let me know that at the end of the day, the meter number for these ones in this group just pretty much told me that they're either in group HA or HB. So anyway, these guys ended up, I think, all being, oh no, I got one HA. So this is actually the first HA, the only one that I had actually, and it was number HA 2.1. So as I go back up, so there's a long dash. See, this is the one with the dash. Okay, so that makes it an HA subgroup. And then I just determined what was the number. So Bippy Boppity, HA 2.1. Then we moved on. I moved on to these HB subgroups, and you can tell the difference. No dash. And then didn't have full success with the metered number, but I was able to just pretty much determine based on the pictures in the catalog what these are. So this is a HB1 with a really cool Sinclair Pennsylvania Motor Oil slogan, and we got a HB1B, and now the B is actually Alexa, light one off. She started working again, thank God. Alright, so the difference is how bold the town mark lines are. So I'm sure you would all agree this one certainly seems to have much bolder outer circle. So I'm going with this is an HB1B instead of an HA1 or 2.1 or whatever. So anyway, HB1 with a kind of a thinner outer circle on the town mark, and then the HB1B with a thicker outer circle. Okay, and then the last one is just a HB1 actually. So these are all really cool. I also like this slogan. Definitely cool. So just based on the different variations of the pictures, I just determined this must simply be an HB1 design. So anyway, these slogans, none of them are worth anything. They're very cool to look at. I definitely like them. More courtesy, more safety, good roads. Yeah, so back the attack, buy more than before, fifth war. So anyway, these were pretty cool slogans, so those will be going to my buyers. Well, then finally, I'm moving on to what will probably be the last bit, although I do have a glass scene full of official mail. I'm just not sure if I'm going to find it in there. I'll try, but if it isn't like a piece of cake, I don't know if I'll bother. But these all have a different eagle design. So you can tell this guy kind of got a bigger eagle in the center with some stars. This guy has an eagle flying, but it's a little tiny eagle, totally different design. And this guy also has an eagle similar to this one, but it's just a different design than the other one. So these are my kind of 3 leftovers. Let me see what I got. Okay, so this first eagle is actually Group F. This was an FB 2.1. This is a, what do they call this? Has a eagle at the center, and this specific one, actually is missing. There should be a town mark here. This should say like New York or something right here. That's not there. This is clearly used, which is kind of cool. But yes, I don't know what town. Based on the meter number, this actually was easily identified as a FB21. But this could be an FB 2.2 if it had different value figures. Now, I could actually tell visibly the main difference between the actual numerical figures. They seem pretty similar on the 2.2 and the 2.1, but what I can tell, I think what they're meaning is that if this were an FB 2.2, it'd actually have a couple of dots here on the right side, and then like a single dot over here. So no dots, so I'm going with this being an FB 2.1. As far as I can tell, pretty much no real value. There's a couple of variations of these that could be rare, but this one doesn't seem to be. So anyways, that's this guy. But we're going to move on to the final bit now. Okay, so this last slogan stamp is a number IA3. It's actually, unfortunately, missing part of most of the franking. It's been cut off, so I will say there is a whole bunch of different styles of this, but I've deduced it's an IA3, even though I'm missing the franking because of the different variations. For one thing, you can see the dot right there before the actual value of the frank. An awful lot of these actually have wavy lines. So the dot was kind of a giveaway, and then using the dot as kind of the only real forensic evidence I have, besides the plate buck number and just the eagle. So the plate buck is what gave it away, because there's a few versions of the ones that have the dot, and they also have 2 dots over here on the other side of the franking value, but the plate block number didn't match any of the other earlier, like AA2 or IA1, so this, I'm pretty sure, must be an IA3. Okay, so this last stack here was a total piece of cake, just based upon the design. So when you look in the catalog, you'll find this similar design. It's Group G. It's, what do they say, a wide rectangular frank with a large sitting eagle in the center. So, one of the main things that made this so incredibly easy is which direction is the eagle looking. So, number G1, all of the eagles will be always looking to the right, and then all of the other variations, the eagles look to the left. So that means every single one of these is a G1. Now, pretty much no value of these unless you had special things like a post office mark or postage due, or it was a military stamp and said Navy on there, something like that. But all these guys are just plain old G1s. I've ended up with this big stack. So all of these are going to go to my buyer. This is the stack of better metered mail that at least have some supposed value to them. So I'm going to keep most of these. I was thinking I was going to toss in one for the buyer just for fun. I think it's going to be this guy, so that he actually has something that has some kind of value in that package. So I'll be keeping these, and my favorite one is easily the snake skin. I'm glad that I went through all this. Now I am much more familiar with metered mail and using the catalogs. So these are cool. All those will go into Mystic, my Mystic album. These are the official mail that actually came in a collection I had bought. It was like a $4,500 what do you call it, album. But I'm gonna actually keep these because I'd like to. My plan with what I've been doing with these albums that I had bought. Actually, these ones came out of this album, which I have finally completely gutted. And this took, I don't even know how long I spent taking all the stuff out of this. This took, I'm not kidding you guys, months to carefully peel out all the stamps that were in this, on the front and the back of these pages. There was so many. So and a lot of them did have decent value, so I just wanted to be careful. But this was the first album that I've ever gutted, and holy shit, that was just a huge undertaking. If there's anybody, and this isn't even a big album, if there's anybody out there that's transferred all of the stamps from one album to another, you have my respect, because holy crap, it is so much work. It's not that hard, it's hard, it's just, it takes so much time. And it's pretty easy actually to take them out of this, but to put them in the new binder is what took most of the time. And there was a lot of stamps. You guys can watch the video for this. When it was still whole, when I just got it, there was a ton of stuff in this binder, or in this album. So I'm not going to miss it. I'm actually just going to toss it in the recycle bin. You know, it's just so beat up, and the fact that I've stripped it, it's just a ghost of its former glory. So whoever owned this, William Kurz or Adolf Kurz or something. Actually, there's only one thing that I can't get out, which is, sadly enough, seems to be the prize souvenir sheet that the guy got at a postage stamp show for this album. Kenneth, that was it. I can't get it out. He glued that freaking thing on there, as you can tell. I ruined it already. So that's just gonna disappear. But you know, that was for him anyways. He's the one who deserved that. But yeah, nonetheless, glad to get this album done. Not to ramble forever. That took so much time. Really, it took forever. And then this one, you guys can also watch the video for this album. This was an even more expensive album that they valued at $57.50. I paid $2,300 for this. I've been taking the pages out one by one and transferring the stamps. I've actually finally reached the point where everything left is too new for the Mystic album that I have. So I'm still kind of figuring out what I'm going to do with these. This was a huge book, and I spent a lot of time on this too. But you know, this one goes off into AirPost and all kinds of other stuff too, newspaper, stamps, didn't have a whole lot. But this is mainly just commemoratives, and he has a bunch of newer stuff that I've never seen before, like these. What the heck are these? You know, so what I'm going to do with these, I think, is actually transfer the remaining stamps in this to my stock binders, and I'm just going to keep them in there until the day comes that I'll buy the more recent Mystic binders, or albums, and actually have a proper home for them. But I pretty much stripped those two albums down and put everything in my Mystic albums, which I am already pretty proud of. And now then I'm finishing up just one box of stamps, trying to find cool stuff and put it in there. Basically, at some point I will finally move on to the final 4 boxes of stamps, which are like long boxes, 1.5 foot boxes, full of a whole bunch of stuff still, but I only have 4 more boxes of stamps to go through, and then I've completely sorted that massive Apfelbaum collection I had purchased. That was 7 giant cartons, and that was about a year ago. So I've been working diligently for a year trying to sort these stamps out, and it's finally almost done. So anyways, that's what I'm working on mostly, and I'm trying to actually fill the spots in the album for the stamps that I am missing now, as opposed to filling the blank spaces in my Mystic. So that's a little update. If you guys hung around at the end here, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of these metered mails and just my little update. I'll return next week and make a video about something. I don't know what, but I'll see you later. Bye-bye.